Ruby Burrito, and welcome to today's stream. So I'm going to... I had plans, and I had actually recorded a video this morning, and I was going to post it, and the problem was I didn't love all of the thoughts and the comments that I had regarding End of Dragons. I didn't feel like I had portrayed what I was going for in a proper way, and I was hoping to redo that. So I'm actually going to see if I can hop on a Kining Blackout map while I'm doing this. But the idea here is I'm going to take this time to... I'm going to turn that down. Holy cow, that's loud. Empress Skin has no intention of restoring the palace for her own use, given its problematic history. This is the dialogue. Music can go up. Okay. Jeez. I don't know why I had the dialogue volume so high. I explain why it's hard for me to hear things, or even hear myself think. So, really, what I want to do here is just discuss... I want to discuss... let's see if I can actually get on this map. That's crazy. That's cool. I want to discuss End of Dragons. It's been about a year since the expansion came out. It's the third expansion. We had quite a bit of time between the second and the third expansions, and it is what it sounds like. It's End of Dragons, so it represents a huge turning point in the game. A renewed devotion to the game by the developers and the entire company, and I just want to be able to take this time and actually think back on what it was like to play through this the first time, what it's like to play through it now, and what it means, what it feels like to play this content now. So the first thing that I wanted to just okay, let's start with I'm gonna be doing metas in the background. I thought, what better way to discuss or to tie into the discussion than have metas in the background. That's going to be something that we talk about. So I wanted to have this here. So I'm just running myself to the Kining Blackout. It looks like they're on the escort portion. So I'll get caught up here in a minute. So the first thing I want to talk about is the End of Dragon maps. So I'm gonna touch on story next. So I'm not gonna talk about the story. I'm not gonna talk about the metas. I'm just gonna talk about map design, map feel, map space, all of that good stuff. So there's 4 different maps that came out with End of Dragons. We have Saitung Province, we have New Kining City, Echo of Old Wilds, and Dragon's End. You could consider Arborstone and a 5th map, or even Isle of Reflection, a 5th or 6th, depending on how you look at it. But for the purpose of this, we'll talk explorable, and then I can touch on Arborstone and Isle of Reflection at the end. So Saitung Province was an incredible introduction to Cantha. So Cantha is a beautiful location with an extremely rich history. That's going to cause an annoyance, but I'll fix that later. With an extremely rich history, one that Tyrians know rather little about, especially the more recent history. And when you load into Saitung, you get to see... So first off, Xingye Island I love. I've loved Xingye Island since the original game. I love that that's the first place you come to in the story, but it's a great starting place. It was the starting place in the first game for the factions campaign. So having all of this greenery, having this incredible amount of color was really cool. There's a lot of... Every region has themes. So in Tyria, you have Ascalon, that's kind of brown and a little purple in the brand, but not that great. The Shiver Peak Mountains is largely white and maybe gray. Ascalon is green. You can kind of tell by these that it's kind of the same green color, maybe some brown over here. And then really the Maguma jungle is the same, and then or had some colors, but even in Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns, we didn't get to experience color on the same scale that we did in Saitung Province. It took this color scheme that we've had and kind of just gave us something completely new to run with. So I honestly really like, one, that they ran with it on Saitung Province, but two, it's the only map like that. It makes it feel unique. It makes it feel special. And having that be the first map that you explore really was a good introduction. And then New Kaineng, the city that I'm in right now. So let me step outside of this building. First off, the interaction with the electricity, I know that's part of the meta, but really cool. If I look up, holy cow, everything looks huge. Like, the building here it has fog in front of it. You can get up to the top of that with a sky scale if you want to, or a Springer. You can go on top of all these buildings, but they're so far away just in the vertical direction that they're fogged out, which is very true to the original Kaineng. And that, again, the difficulty with these maps is, for really all of them, we've had maps all through this area. It was a very different setting, but we had maps in all of these locations, and they stayed very true to both Saitung Province, which they made more beautiful. I really like that map. The ability to be on water there, but not have to be on water to do a lot of content. The raptors, the raptor taxis were very nice. They have that in this map as well. But okay, so staying true to the way Saitung Province and Kaineng, and look at how beautiful these maps look. They look much more modern. It was rebuilt. You have the fish flying in the sky. You have the green of all of the jade tech. But beyond that, it really does feel like a city that people live in. You have all these shop fronts. You can actually go into a lot of... I'm going to keep doing that on accident. You can go into a lot of the buildings in and around. It just makes it feel much more... Why did we go over here? I don't know. It makes it feel really good. Once you get to Echo Vault Wilds, it's kind of the same thing. Like, you have this really tall map. You look up, it's very similar to this. You look up and you see trees all the way to the top of the map, and it feels incredible. It feels like you're in a forest and you don't know the way out. It took a while for me to get comfortable with the paths, and now I might toss some of this in, but or even if I get to this later, the gang war meta, getting through there on a roller beetle is obviously the fastest land mount, but it's not easy to navigate through. It feels more like a living forest than a map that they put together to try to make content. You know, it feels much more natural, and the paths are winding. Let's take a look. Like, there's paths everywhere. They're all winding, but you have all these gigantic trees everywhere. And with trees this big, of course, they're going to be further apart, and you get a feel that you're really in a forest of that magnitude. They did a very good job there. And then finally with Dragon's End, of all of them, that's probably going to be my least favorite map, primarily because, just from an aesthetic standpoint, primarily because it's a full meta map. And of course, I was a Luxon when I played in Guild Wars 1, but the only Jade Sea content you get... Let's move over here before I continue. So the top half of the map is not Jade Sea, right? So it's the edge. I don't know that I remember how this region was called, but it's the edge section between the forest and the Jade Sea. So the Archipelago's Rim, the entrance to the quarry here, and then the actual quarry is going on right here. But then down here is the only area where you actually get to experience the Jade. I do absolutely love down here in the Silencer getting to walk up to the edge of the map here and look out and just experience the vastness of the Jade. While I may have said that that's not my favorite map, it is still a very well done map. And even though it is a full meta map, it doesn't really feel like it's designed just for a meta. Some other maps, like for example, if we go to Dragon Stand, right? These 3 paths feel very much like the whole map was designed to carry out the purpose of this meta, which that's another beautiful map, but Dragon's End doesn't feel like that. It feels like a beautiful half Jade Sea, half not map, and you get to when you get to the point where you're exploring underneath the Jade, there's a POI like. It might even be all the way down here or something. But you have to go under the water here and come all the way down. And there's an underground cavern. And it just makes it really unique. Again, I guess that's going to be the biggest takeaway is every map here has felt really unique. It's nice, as opposed to Maguma, of course, they're all in the jungle. They all do feel unique and they have their own flavors, but same with the Crystal Desert. You have desert with the Riverlands. This map does have quite a bit going on, and then you have the Desolation. So they do have different flavors, but they all feel desert-oriented. The juxtaposition from Saitung Province on Qingjie Island to Kaineng, to the Echovold Wilds, to Dragon's End, they all feel very unique and special. I think they did a really good job with that. From a story perspective, again, as I mentioned earlier, I really like that they had the story start in Saitung. The way that we get to Cantha was a lot more believable, and it actually made sense within the lore, and I really appreciated that. I was really worried about how they were planning on having us get to Cantha, because as soon as they said that we were going to Cantha, I immediately thought to how everything that we've seen about Cantha in the last however many years since the game came out is, yeah, you can't traverse the never-ending sea, never-ending ocean here. You can't the unending ocean. You can't go through here because of the deep sea dragon. That is everything we heard, right? And you have the Asuran, the Inquest, who captured one of the deep sea dragon's minions, and there's this fear of not being able to get to Cantha. So having travel through the mists, it made sense. It tied into all the story that we had. It may not have felt as satisfying as people wanted, but honestly, I think it made the most sense, and it works. So you get to Saitung Province and you deal with the Aether Blades before coming to New Kaineng. There's a lot going on in the story. There was a lot of history that they needed to throw in. There was the entire history of the Aether Blades and the Canthan people working with the company and trying to get you have to get through all of that history. You have to get through the Saitung Province with the introduction of the Aether Blades, and then you get to New Kaineng, you come up here to the lab, and there's just so much that gets thrown at you that at times it can feel pretty overwhelming, especially if you're not the, I don't want to say the biggest Guild Wars fan, but if you're not like a hardcore fan, it can at moments feel like it's a lot. But I think with the way they designed the missions, they did a pretty good job of explaining. And then Ekavold Wilds kind of felt shorter. I haven't played through the story in quite some time, so this is kind of going just off of my memory of how each one felt. And then you get to Dragon's End, and there's of course the achievement for completing the meta before you do the final mission. And I think the of everything, while the story wasn't perfect and at points it felt like there was a lot of information, again, they did a good job. But the finale, the ending of the story, felt like it paid off on a lot of the different aspects of the game that we've been playing through. We had all of these different allies coming in. It felt like it was high stakes. At least for me, the first time I'm playing through it, it felt like it was high stakes. And it felt like what I was doing was meaningful. There's a lot of times in the Guild Wars story where we are just the commander who can do all this crazy stuff. And it feels like, oh, we just got another big bad guy to fight. But it really did feel like there was something on the line in this content. We had some really good introductions to... Oh, there's a teleporter. Really good introductions to different characters, and... I was talking when I was doing the Giala Delve meta, that the voice actor for Rama does just such a wonderful job and portrays all the emotions really well. So overall, the story and the character arcs and the characters, really well done. There are moments where they go a little cheesier with like the Timey Goric stuff, but all right. There's a lot of really good content that feels like it pays off on everything. The meta, because of the relation of the story and the meta for Dragon's End, I'm gonna go straight to the Dragon's End meta. If you go into the circles and you get sent down to the ground as the Wisp, or however the soul, I don't remember exactly what they call you as an entity, the people that they have talking to you, that little voice line, or three voice lines, depending on how long it takes you, just an incredible addition. The fact that the preparation for Dragon's End takes you all over the entire map, it tells you to do events everywhere, and then you have the two lanes, you have the west and the east, you have a middle lane, but that one's shorter, and then you make it all the way down to almost the very bottom of the map. And when this came out, it was challenging content. The first probably 5 times that I did it, including after they nerfed it the first time, I think I successfully did it once, and we had like 2 seconds left. It was truly difficult content. And I know a lot of people were complaining, but I had 0 complaints. Is it frustrating to do a meta and fail? Absolutely. But at the same time, there's not a I have not been paying attention to what's going on in this meta, which I will get to. I'll do this meta next because this is one that I'm doing. But I've just been kind of running around. I can't even use these abilities or these skills because my my buttons on my mouse aren't currently set up properly because Razer didn't open when I launched my computer, and I didn't do that right. I didn't fix it before I started streaming. I don't have to pay that much attention, but when it comes to the Dragon's End, when that first came out, if you didn't pay attention, you died real fast. And there's a whole lot of... I'm going to turn this back down again because I don't think I'm much louder than... Man, okay. Whoops. I should probably do this. There's just so much that comes from difficult content like that. It gives people in the community something to rally around and talk about and have discussions on Reddit or in Discord, wherever, YouTube comments, whatever it is that they find themselves in. It gives the community a chance to come together on something, and it's very fun. A lot of other MMOs do stuff like that. I just put out a video with Destiny 2 in it. I do play Destiny 2, and Destiny 2 just had an expansion, and there's content that won't come out until the first raid the raid is cleared for the first time by people. So that it's because that content is designed to be very challenging, and I really enjoy. I don't enjoy dying over and over again, but I do enjoy challenging myself and working with 50, 60 people to try and beat very difficult content. The new Kaineng meta actually failed quite a few times when I was first doing it too, because this wasn't easy when it first came out either. You have, I think it's like 7 different zones. You can see them here, the blackout zones. Each of them you have to do a certain amount of events, and then once you complete all of those, there's another defense at the North Lab and the whatever lab this is called, the Sunjiang Lab, and those failed quite often. And then you have to do the escort, which I showed a lot of. That's where I joined in, is the escort, and there was a lot of different moving parts, which again I really enjoyed figuring out all the different mechanics. Saitung Province. There's a lot going on in Saitung Province as well. The final boss. So for Saitung Province, you have the 3 lanes, and you have the fight Aether Blades, and then it's the destroy the cannons, beat the mini boss, and then go fight the big boss once everybody defeats their mini bosses. And the big boss, the size of that character model is huge. That was the first thing that I noticed, and it was just, it felt like another unique experience. And then finally with the gang war and the, I'm gonna forget the name of this one, whatchamacallit, Aspenwood. I should have remembered that from Guild Wars 1. But with Aspenwood is like almost like a mini meta within the meta, or within the map, that is kind of a Storm the Castle type meta, which very cool. And then the gang war has a whole bunch of events and touches on the relationship between the Brotherhood and the speakers, which is something that I was looking forward to as soon as we heard that we were going to Cantha. That these people are full dead. I'm sorry, I was not paying attention. So I think from just a meta content and a unique feel, they did a really good job. When it comes to rewards, the thing about rewards in Cantha, and this is kind of where initially I was a little bit unsure of how I was going to feel. Everything has to do with ultimately crafting the Gen 3 legendaries, which if I go to the trading post, or not, because the trading post is down, cool beans. If I go to the trading post, the number 1 most expensive legendary is it's Eternity, the Gen 1 legendary, which is 2 legendaries put together, and that's why it's the most expensive. But after that, it's pretty much every single one of Orion's legendaries, and then they added all the different variants. But pretty much everything you get, so you get writs, you get unusual coins, you get Imperial favors. This Jade Gate statuette is part of, here, I can get Jade Rune Stones, which is another thing that goes towards the legendaries. Initially, it felt very much like everything was geared towards getting those legendaries. Now that I'm opening, you can see I'm getting, now that I'm paying closer attention, you're getting gear, especially if, oh, this is from yesterday. I was like, what? it feels pretty rewarding to do a lot of these, especially with like the fact that I could just get amalgamated gemstones if I want to work on something that requires those. And there's a lot of things in the game that still do. And let's actually see if I can get this to, yeah, there we go. It just broke. Or excuse me. I can sell stuff, but I can't buy anything. Oh, because I was under sell. Okay, I was gonna say. I mean, look how expensive these legendaries are. And then the Juggernaut, a Gen 1, and Liquid Aurelium Infusion, almost 2,000 gold. All of these are over 2,000 gold, which, and there's not a lot of these on the trading post right now. There's literally 4 listed. There's 4. If I go down to Juggernaut, of course, Juggernaut's been around for a lot longer. What is that, 25? Partly because that's almost 5,000 gold, but the rewards feel decent enough to me where it feels like it's worth it to run these metas. Not everybody's going to agree with that, but I enjoy doing them because they're different and it gives me an opportunity. I mean, I've been playing this game since launch. I've done the Claw of Jormag. I've done the Shatterer. I've done Tequaddle so many times. But coming and fighting this giant Jade mech construct feels completely different because the mechanics, it feels nice. It feels like a good change of pace. Now, let's go to masteries. Fishing. I was also worried about fishing because I mean, most of the fishing I've done in games is like Animal Crossing, which I never really loved. I've done, I think I've played other MMOs where there's fishing, but I was just worried that it was going to be an opportunity for people to just sit and not move and AFK pretty much, because that's usually how fishing is marketed. But if I'll get on my skiff too so that I can talk about skiffs in a second. I do not have them keybound because I don't go on these very often. And once I get on, I usually stay on. You have all of these abilities. I can scan for fish, right? And then my bad. I can come here and I can fish. I don't have a lure or a bait, but you have to move around, and then there's the stacking of catching fish per skiff, all of which I think is the right way for Guild Wars to be doing fishing. And then the depth charge. Well, I was not expecting that to do that, but the Leviathans on all the maps, it requires depth charges, which brings in skiffs. And like, look, that's super cool. You come down to Jade bots. Jade bots were a little worrisome as well when I found out what they did. Gliding boosters, super helpful. It's just kind of a personal gust of air. What do they call those? I'm gonna forget. Updrafts. It's just a personal updraft. Multi-charge and energy efficiency is just the ability to do more. The waypoint is nice for metas like Dragon's End. You can come up to this platform and put down a waypoint. But the rescue protocol, I was a little worried when I saw what that did because it's a big deal. And now I really only play on characters that have Jade bots equipped with scavenger protocol. The vitality increase isn't huge. I get 505, it looks like. My total vitality, I guess 505 is my total. I really that low? Is it because I'm on the skiff? Yeah, okay, there we go. 1,503. Jadebot gives 235. That's a pretty substantial amount. That's more than a 10% increase for this character. So just a static or a flat vitality increase is pretty big. And then what is the next one? Arborstone. I neglected to come back to Arborstone. And then the turtle. The turtle is really helpful because it lets you that's a roller beetle. That's sky scale. It's another chance for interaction with people because it's not a purely combat mount. I'm not moving super fast, but once you get the momentum going, you can move decently quick, and it gives you an opportunity to show people things that you like in the game, make friends, show new players different things, stuff like that. So I think the turtle has gone over really well. The mount looks great. Unfortunately, I was telling Astrid, who I'm guessing can hear what I'm saying if she's paying attention. There were plans at one point for a spider mount. Personally, I would love a spider mount because I think they could do that really freaking awesome. But I understand arachnophobia is a thing. Astrid hates spiders, so she would hate if I had, even if we just had a skin for the turtle that was spider, she would hate that, which I totally get. Astrid, can you hear me? How would you feel if we got a spider skin for the turtle? No? Yeah, I felt like that'd be the response. They're not cute. A lot of things in this game are cute. Or really aggressive looking, but spiders are... Whoa, what is going on with my graphics here? Spiders are pretty creepy, so I get it. But I think the turtle is a really good substitution for that. Let's go back to Arborstone. So Arborstone is right here. It's a hub. I'm actually going to go to Arborstone. You build it up through the mastery, and then you have... I mean, I've got guild bank, all the crafting, everything that you need. This person is somebody who sells stuff for jade slivers, you know. And then you've got this person for the legendary crafting who sells antique summoning stones. You have access to the Canthan strike missions. It's over here, not over there. And then Arborstone, this is a map. Again, this area is something that was in Guild Wars 1. And seeing it come back was really nice. Are my graphics... Okay, that's why. This whole time, this is what happens. I'm embarrassed, and I should be. That was bad. Oh, it's been a long week, guys. I apologize for the lack of graphics. I can't believe I didn't even notice. But that's what I get for thinking and talking at the same time as playing and primarily focusing on thinking. So there's just... This map is beautiful. I can keep going up. Look at the stained glass, right? And then different variation, another variation, more stained glass. And while I'm here, we can talk about, well, let me find one. The waypoint design. Let me get to this waypoint down here. If you've never gone outside of Arborstone, still on the map? Of course. This is just back up. Alright. I have obviously not spent enough time in here to remember where everything is, but I really like Arborstone for what it is. Isle of Reflection. That's actually where the COG Guild Hall is. Another beautiful map. Like, look at this. This is very close to Saitung province, right here. So what I was talking about earlier, like, look at all of these beautiful colors. Look at the pinks, the greens, the blues, the orange, the red. There's so much. Masteries, elite specializations. Actually, I would like to play some of them more. Let's go down the list real quick. Let me pull it up so that I don't miss one. And the dragons. Okay. First is Guardian. Guardian is Willbender. I'm going to pull up my Willbender. I do believe I do have a character that is a Willbender. Yes, right here. So, once I get loaded, yeah, he's in Arborstone. This is my character that gets the ancient summoning stones. Once I get loaded. The offhand sword is nice. It makes sense for it makes sense for the character. I'm obviously clearly not using one. Excuse me. Excuse me. That's my amulet of celebration. Why is that not equipped? Gotta love what I did to him. I like the Willbender. I'm using all of the wrong skills because I like how mobile Willbender feels. Emerald Nachos plays Willbender and he loves it. It does to me feel like it's what's been missing from Guardian. It's a very much offensive based class that's get into your face and brawler. Revenant, Vindicator. This is Ruby Burrito is my Revenant that I play on mostly. I've really not played much Vindicator, unfortunately. I do like that Revenants finally have a greatsword. I love every class that has a greatsword because I love greatswords. But I always struggled to get into Vindicator because let me switch to Renegade build. Is there anything different? Okay, so this is the Herald build. It's Herald Vindicator. And then let me put on that's where I needed to be. Let me put on a greatsword. So when you use your ability, oh my goodness. When I use this, like my healing skill, it switches. No, it does not. Oh, I don't remember what this is. See, I have really not played much. So you have a full amount of abilities. Is this the one that switched? There you go. Okay, so the F3 is what switches, and now you have a full another set of abilities. It was just a lot to teach myself, and Herald is what I've been playing in World v World, so I stuck with Herald. So I'm gonna put my stuff back real quick. Next is gonna be Bladesworn. I've played my Bladesworn on stream. I've played my Bladesworn in videos too. I believe he's somewhere, and he looks very. Yeah, I love this skin. I love this outfit. I was worried about this. I was worried about a lot of things actually. I was worried about this profession, this elite specialization, because this is my main character. I've played a lot of warrior over the days. I've played almost 1,000 hours on this character alone. So I've played a lot of. I played greatsword. I played banner slave. I played a lot of different variations of warrior, and Willbender, actually, funnily enough, is exactly what I enjoy about warriors. Is the big brawly, get in your face kind of thing, and playing ranged and having a ranged auto on what is a sword, I was unsure of what to think. But I like the feel. I like how the gun saber looks. I mean, it's literally a gun blade. There's no better. It sounds dumb to say it now that I'm hearing myself say it out loud, but the way that this looks like a pistol, you got what would be the trigger here, but you're still holding it like a great sword, and then this beautiful blade. It looks really well done. Mechanist. A lot of people hate Mechanist. Largely because Mechanist is broken. Mechanist has been broken. The mech, the ability to provide alacrity on everything. That's the build that I have on this character, is just non-stop alacrity for PvE, metas, strikes, everything like that. I love it though. The mace, I love maces. Again, big, close combat, chunky hits. And then just being able to order around my mech. Very fun. And especially the spinny spin. I do love doing that. So next is going to be the Ranger, the Untamed. Should have an Untamed right here. Again, hammers, love them. I love my Choya hammer here. But this is a little bit of an homage to the Bunny Thumper of Guild Wars 1 and the ability to like empower your pet or then switch to empower yourself. The visual that you get, very cool. Love it. The fact that this stays on so you can tell that it's on your pet, very nice. Fun to play. Haven't played this one too much either, but very much enjoyed playing that. Spectre. So the Spectre uses a scepter, and it's another thing that I was not really expecting. A support thief. The last profession you would expect to see a thief or to see be a support. Yes, I would like to, but it feels in the little bits that I've played. Obviously, this is actually one of my only thieves. I have not played much. I played a lot in the betas. It feels smooth. It felt good and actually felt I haven't seen this scepter actually. It's an interesting looking scepter. It feels pretty fulfilling. I like the idea of a thief support. But that's kind of where my knowledge of the profession or of the elite spec ends. So I won't talk too much about it. Catalyst, I'm not even going to go on my Catalyst. I suck at playing Catalyst. It's a really cool concept, but I hate playing against him in PvP. So very annoying. Same with Virtuoso. I think this is a Mirage. Here, this is the one that has Virtuoso. I knew I had one. Main hand dagger, which of course I don't have equipped. But the way that everything kind of goes around daggers, like these, I love that visual effect, and I like that it's so well surrounded by music. Conceptually, the Virtuoso. But it's daggers, and it's like, look at how beautiful these daggers look. You know? Not that my character matches at all whatsoever, but. And then Blade Stomp. Oh, gotta have somebody. It's just a very beautiful spec. Finally, we have the Harbinger. Harbinger I've played the most of. Out of all of these, for sure it's been Harbinger, because this is my PvP character. I really like that there's no real shroud. There's no second health pool that you dip into, and it actually hurts you to go into shroud. So, very fun, very cool new addition. Of course, I will always love Reaper. I'll always love Reaper. I'll always love Scourge. Necro is probably my favorite profession, even though definitely not my first, second, or third most played profession. It's definitely my favorite. Um, love this scythe. But yeah, pistol's fun. Keep doing that. Shroud, it's very damage oriented and it's very fun to play and to annoy people with the Shroud 5. So it feels good. Strike missions, I do like that they turned the story missions into strike missions. This is going to be the last thing that I'm going to touch on here for specifically End of Dragons. I'm going to go to Gyala Delve next. But yeah, I really like that they added the challenge modes. It's truly difficult content. You need to be organized. It gives people who have been craving more challenging content something new to do. Every new one that they add, and there's going to be a new one the next time we get story content. I'm gonna go to Gyala Delve. The other half of the map is going to be released, and we're gonna get another strike mission, is what they told us the next time we get content, which should be next month, actually, in April, because this content came out in February. That is my assumption, at least. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for this. Next, I'm going to talk End of Dragons. Technically, Gyala Delve, the What Lies Beneath content, is part of End of Dragons. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to move on to this, at least. So I touched on in my thoughts on End of Dragons that Gyala Delve has some really good voice acting from Rama. Goric, more of a comedic relief, that from what I've been experiencing, or from my opinion. But Rama does a really good job, and the map is gorgeous. I was a Luxon player in Guild Wars 1. I love being in the Jade Sea. Almost said Jade Quarry. Love being in the Jade Sea. What? I don't even know what these events are. Oh, I guess I should probably wait here, because it looks like some people want to start the event. So I'll give them another player to do it. So this is a full meta map. You have the two lanes. They kind of just go. This one feels a little bit like a full meta map, which I think they do a good job of it regardless. The amount of Jade here is gorgeous. Story-wise, this was a very pivotal moment in the story, because up until End of Dragons, I mean, this entire time, we're dealing with the Dragon Cycle. The Elder Dragon Cycle. Life, death, rebirth, magic, flow in and out of the dragons, sleeping and not sleeping. It was a lot. It was years and years of content, and this is the first content that truly does have nothing to do with the dragons. I know people could argue that Path of Fire technically didn't have anything to do with the dragons, but it did. You've got Vlast, you've got Oreen, you've got Kralkatorrik. All of it has to do with dragons. There's nothing that I saw that had to do with dragons. There you go. We got them to their the start of the meta. This is where you start. The first mission is nice and fun. You get to come. My favorite part is, of course, to feed the siege turtles, because I love the siege turtles. I think they look so good. And there's a lot to see, and I'm very excited to see what the other half of GW2 looks like. I'm intrigued because, like, you can see this is a fairly straight line here. So probably a little more than half here, but what they're gonna put here, when we first went here, I thought we were very far away, but we are. I mean, if you go this far to the left, you're very close to Dragon's End here. So I'm very intrigued to see what this half is going to look like. There's a lot more grass than I was expecting. But story-wise, there is not quite as much to talk about as I expected. I guess I wasn't really prepared for a split story. So it's more of an introduction to a very confusing story. Basically, you have the Brotherhood in a mine. There we go. You have the Brotherhood in a mine, and people are going crazy. And you can kind of see the energy that's in the air, but it reminds me of Void, but they don't really say that it's Void. If it is Void, then this isn't really the next step. We're just dealing with the fallout of what was the End of Dragon's story, which would explain why when we go to the story journal, we're still in End of Dragons. And I kind of like that concept because while, like I said in my discussion of End of Dragons, there's a really good story there, and I think it has a really good conclusion. At the same time, we don't really deal with the aftermath of our actions very often, or the aftermath of the story that we're dealing with. It's usually just the next bad guy. The only map I can think of that had to do with an aftermath is Siren's Landing, which dealt with the aftermath after Zaitan. So, if this is the Void, and it's us dealing with what happens now, I really like that as... Ooh, I guess that was stairs. I really like that that's where we're going. I think I'm gonna go with that assumption that that's what the story is that this is Void, and we are dealing with the fallout of the Void. That the Void is not completely gone, there's still remnants, and we have to kind of clean things up. And that there's something underneath, what lies beneath, that is still interacting or something with the Void. So, for now, I've enjoyed the meta, I've enjoyed the map. I think the miasma, the haze is a fun little mechanic for them to throw in because it's free. The Jadebot filters are free. It's not like it's a crazy difficult mechanic. It's just a really nice flavor that they added, and I'm really intrigued to see where they go with it. That's actually going to be it for now. I'm going to probably couple all of this all together, in fact, because makes it easier, and I thought I was going to have more to discuss when it came to GW2, but really I gave a lot of my thoughts when I was going through the meta. So if you want to hear my thoughts or any of the mechanics there, you can go watch that video. Otherwise, I just put out a video on the new Black Lion update, where I got a beautiful chair, which I can't use in combat. Run, run, run. I get noodles. I get to eat my noodles, which I love. This is really nice. The washing of the dishes. I got put into combat. But yeah, if you want to support the channel, As always, a like, comment, or subscribing would be awesome. Otherwise, have fun, good luck, I hope you get good loot, and we'll see ya in the next one.